To the election campaign now, and joining me is the Finance Minister and Coalition campaign spokesman. Interesting, Senator Cormann, that the Prime Minister's in Barton today. It's a notionally Labor seat now after a redistribution, a margin of over 4%. Does that reflect a bit of confidence in the closing stages of the campaign?
Well, look, this is a federal election. Federal elections are always close. We're not taking anything for granted. But in this campaign, we are working hard to earn the trust of a majority of Australians in a majority of seats. Obviously, Barton is an important part of Western Sydney. I mean, we currently hold that seat, even though it's notionally now a Labor seat. But we are working very hard right around Australia to earn the trust of as many Australians as possible so that we can continue to implement our plan for jobs and growth, so that we can continue to successfully transition our economy to a stronger, more diversified economy.
Now, a Galaxy poll that the Courier Mail is reporting this morning reflects another seat that the Labor Party had been planning to pick up, or hoping to pick up, Petrie, north of Brisbane, that it's also looking like the LNP will hold on. And in both cases, it appears that the Brexit issue, economic uncertainty, is causing voters to turn back to the government. Is that your sense?
Look, the election is on the 2nd of July, so that is when the election will take place. We are not taking anything for granted. We will continue to work hard. It is true that the Australian economy continues to face global economic headwinds. It's true that we continue having to work through the implications of slower global economic growth and uncertainty in the world, and that is why, of course, we're saying it's so important that we continue to implement our plan for jobs and growth. That is why it is so important that we continue to put our budget on a sustainable foundation for the future. And Labor, of course, should they be successful on Saturday, would deliver bigger deficits and higher taxes, which would hurt investment, hurt the economy and cost jobs, and so that is, of course, not what Australia needs right now.
You've announced your costings yesterday, the final numbers, including a crackdown on welfare. Can you talk us through how that's going to work?
Well, what we're focused on making sure is that the important welfare support is directed to those Australians in need of support, and those Australians that, of course, are entitled to that support. We are expected to spend about $688 billion on welfare over the next 4 years, and by better use of data matching, better use of technology, building on some of the reforms in recent budgets and budget updates, we'll be able to increase efficiencies by 0.3%. This will help us pay for the commitments that we've made in this campaign.
The Treasurer yesterday said that no one's going to lose any payments or anything from their amounts. How can you say that and yet you're going to raise upwards of $2 billion?
Well, because everybody will continue to receive what they're entitled to receive under our welfare system. But what we will make sure is that the payments go to those that are entitled to them, and that we minimise mistakes, that we minimise errors, that we help Australians to minimise errors, but also that we, from the system point of view, from our point of view, don't make unnecessary mistakes.
And when was this policy finalised?
Well, the costing was finalised before the caretaker period started, and so that was something that we'd been working on for some time. It builds on previous reforms that we have announced in previous budgets and budget updates.
It appears a bit of a sleight of hand here, because you've left it to the late in the campaign to fund everything, but really you could have included it in the budget.
Well, we've been working on policies, obviously, for some time and on a continuous basis, and it is not unusual for obviously governments or oppositions, for that matter, to time the announcement of policies throughout the campaign, and that's what we've done on this occasion.
And, well, it sounds, as you say, it's been around for some time, but you've just kept it to the end in order to fund your series of what's been described as pork barrelling measures around the country.
Well, what we've announced in this campaign are a whole series of initiatives that are part of our plan for jobs and growth. And obviously, our economy is an economy in transition, and we are, as part of our budget, investing in infrastructure around Australia. And the important point is that our commitments in this campaign are guaranteed within the budget. We are paying for our commitments by savings in other parts of the budget. The Labor Party is proposing, or has had to admit, that they would increase the size of the budget by $16.5 billion, which would threaten our AAA credit rating, which would be bad for the economy and jobs. The budget position under Labor, by their own admission, would be $17.6 billion worse than under the coalition.
But are you comfortable with basketball courts, say in South Yarra, Melbourne, or CCTV cameras in Perth, in various electorates. These don't seem to be the sorts of measures that federal governments should be occupying themselves with.
Well, CCTV cameras go to the community security, and of course they are an appropriate investment. And there's
a local government.
Well, and you know, obviously we've had a community development grants scheme at a national level for some time. We've had a Stronger Regions program in Australia for some time. We've had a crime prevention or relevant crime prevention funds at a national level in Australia for some time. And of course there's appropriate commitments to make, and there's appropriate commitments to make in the course of a campaign.
And just on a couple of other issues, the gay marriage plebiscite, Bill Shorten this morning defends his change in position. He's been quite strong in terms of his language around the plebiscite in this campaign. In 2013, he said that he was relaxed with the notion, but he says his views have evolved on that matter. That's fair enough, isn't it?
Well, he's had to do deals with the left of the Labor Party and the Greens in recent times, and we know that should Bill Shorten be successful on Saturday, I mean, he would lead a chaotic and dysfunctional Labor-Green independent alliance, and he's compromised himself. I think that what you saw in 2013 was his honest personal position, and what you're seeing now is his compromised position after he's had to do deals with the Labor left and the Greens.
This is going to be a very difficult issue for Malcolm Turnbull to manage if he is re-elected, because there are several of your colleagues who say they won't even honour the outcome of the plebiscite.
Well, I don't agree. We've got a clear policy. The policy is that should we be successful, we will put this question to the Australian people at a plebiscite in order to facilitate a more permanent resolution of the issue. And whatever the outcome of the plebiscite, I'm very confident will be respected by the Australian Parliament.
And just to conclude where we began in many respects on the economy, but specifically on Brexit, we're seeing the turmoil continue in a political sense in the United Kingdom. Just how much longer should markets expect this sort of uncertainty?
Well, I mean, we've always said that, you know, once the Brexit vote got up, that there would be a level of uncertainty for a period. I mean, obviously, it is a matter for the processes in Britain and in Europe to resolve, you know, some of the political dynamics. I mean, you know, first of all, I mean, obviously, the Conservative Party has to elect a new leader. It looks like the Labor Party might have to elect a new leader. I mean, these are all matters for the political processes in Britain and Europe to resolve. But yes, I mean, this is one of the uncertainties in the world that you know, we here in Australia need to ensure that we continue to be mindful of as we implement our plan for jobs and growth. Finance
Minister Mathias Cormann, Coalition campaign spokesman, will see you on Friday on the eve of the election.
See you then.